Hi everyone, I'm going to be making a Canada Day mini album, and I'm going to be taping parts of it and showing the process of parts of it and just talking about parts of it. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go or how much I'm going to tape, if I'm going to do steps or just kind of, I don't know, I guess we'll see. This is a Graphic 45 pocket mini album. I threw away the packaging, but I'm pretty sure that it's Graphic 45, and it's just this cute little mini album that goes like this, and then it just kind of like ties in the front like this. So it's really cute. And you just open it like this, and then you turn the pages like that, and each page is a little envelope. So you can decorate each page, and then you can also obviously do tags to put inside. And I've never done a Canada Day mini album before, so I thought it would be kind of fun. Now, it's not going to be all red and white and maple leaves or anything, because I don't have any products to do that, and I'm not sure that that would be exactly the look I'd be going for anyways. So what I've done is I've kind of raided my stash, and I'll just bring over what I've got little by little. So I've got this as my base, and I think I'm going to ink the edges red on this, and then I can just kind of like use it as a mat and put paper on each surface. So then this was my starting point. I don't have any collections of Cosmo Cricut paper, but I really liked the Early Bird collection, and I wound up buying a lot of it just loose paper, and I've never used it yet. So they're really cool. Like, this is very Canada Day-ish, this one. And this one as well. I love cherries, so that's awesome. This one not so much. This one actually isn't. This is just my loose paper. I don't have much loose paper. This is it. That's from the Togetherness collection, but even that kind of looks really good with those. So that's what I like about Cosmo Cricut, is all their lines kind of match together. That's really cute. So I don't want it to be entirely red and white either. So I just want, and these two are from Earth Love, and they don't match quite as well. So I'm going to take those out. So these are going to be my potential starting off point papers, especially these. I really like these two. And then this one, these borders are really cool. I, of course, also have my 100 Days of Summer collection, which I know would be an awesome choice to go with this. But I've got so many other projects in mind. I don't want to use it all up on a mini album, and I probably would use up a lot of the parts of it on doing a Canada Day mini. So I'm going to try to, I might dip into this, but I'm not going to use this as my main source for my mini album, but these two in particular I might use, and I might use some of these on some of the pages because they're the right orientation. So I might dip into this collection. Of course, I have these Jilly Bean journaling sprouts, and some of them, they're food oriented, but we eat a lot of food on Canada Day, but this and this, so some of them are quite red and whitish, so we'll go with some of those maybe. Again, that's just from my general stash. And then what I did was I raided 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 Scarlet Lime kits on the go. So I raided them and went through and took out anything that I thought might be good for this mini album. So I really loved this. It says "Good Fortune be with you," because it's we go to the fair. So there's, of course, you know, all the carnival type games there, and this has a carnival feel to it. So I really like that, and it has red and kind of like a creamy color. And this was in one of the Scarlet Lime kits. Hang on, my lighting isn't good. Is that better? Yeah, a little bit better. So this is just a little applique, is that what they call them? It's like an embroidered thing. I don't know what it is. It's embroidered and it has like a shiny back. I think it's called an applique. It's for people who work with material. Anyways, really cute, and I might use that on the mini. These are what's left over from a Glitz Designs rub-on sheet, and I like the definition of delight, and I like that flower. I might even get a chance to use the bee. And then these were in one of the kits. These were all in all different kits, so I have no idea what was in what kit, but these are fabric Dolce thickers, and they're white fabric, and they've got like a diagonal twill, or I don't know anything about fabric, but it's got like little diagonal sew lines in it. Sparkling Rub-Ons by Basic Grey that are red, so used some of them already. And then there's so much red in this Togetherness set of chipboard stickers, and this is a daddy carrying the baby bear on his piggyback. That's just too cute, so I had to include that because I might actually use that. And pinwheels and little red banners and stuff, so that's kind of cute. This might be too glittery for my thinking, so I'm going to put this aside for now. And then I've got a couple of different shades of red here. I've got this one is an orangey red, and this one is a burgundy red, and that one's more of a... See, I've got the 3 different shades. So I don't know, these are all from 3 different kits, and we'll see what I end up using. Oh, this one has banners on the other side. Oh, I didn't notice that. I might have to use that, because look, it's so cute. It's banners. Isn't that adorable? I didn't even notice that. It's Lily Bee Design. It's Catching Fall, Fall Festival. Really cute. Oh, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to use that probably. Oh, and I like this too. Oh, look, I like the back sides of both of those. And this is just like newspaper and writing and stuff with red polka dots on it. Really cute. So, and if those red polka dots are the wrong color, I could always take an eraser, because that looks about the right size, and just kind of like put pink dots all over it and use it as a guide. Use these dots as a guide and put a better color of red over top if I wanted to. Using an eraser from the back of a pencil. Like that. So I might do that. And then this is also from one of those Cosmo Cricket lines. The one that's sewing, Material Girl, that's what it is. And I took this one because it has cards on the back of it, and it kind of goes with the carnival theme. And yeah, so those are my items that I've stolen from Scarlet Line kits. Okay, so with Cosmo Cricket paper, it comes kind of a little bit aged on the sides here. So I'm going to add some Distress ink to these sides here so that I can...
it up for you.
Just be careful not to cut yourself, that's all, right? Okay, so what I've done now is I've pulled out a few more supplies. I think I'm going to use this border punch on pretty much every page. And I got this paper just out of my scraps. It has like little tiny bingo numbers all over it. It's from a, I don't know, it's from a mini stack I have. And then I also picked this out of my scraps. It has red and white polka dots. It has these dress forms on the other side, but I like the red and white polka dots for my Canada Day theme. And so what I've done is I've cut 12 pieces of red dominant paper, red with like a vintagey white, shabby white, I guess we'll call it. There's 2 pages that don't have red, this one yellow, and this one, well, it's got red, but it's blue primarily, just because I like those. I want this one to be on the front, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to still edge each page in sewing, in like just a plain straight stitch. I'm not going to do zigzag or anything, just a plain straight stitch, just to give it that much more dimension, and also to give the book some uniformity. I like to have several elements that are repeated on every single page of a mini album, just to make it look all consistent. So I'm going to center all of these pages after the stitching is on it, but that leaves me with a gap there. So I'm going to take some book paper of these Reader Digest condensed books from, they're old, I don't know when they're from. My mother-in-law gave them to me. They're old, 1966? Yeah, 1966. So they're old and falling apart, and I'm gonna take some pages out. I'm not gonna take that deer page because I might use that for something else someday. I'm gonna take pages that just have text on them, no pictures. I'm going to take several of them until I have about enough to do 12 borders, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a scalloped text page border right here on each of the pages. I'm going to cut a piece of this text so that it's all the way down like that, and then I'm going to have this, punch it with this. Hopefully this paper will punch. Sometimes it's too light to punch. Yep, it'll punch. It'll come out like that, except I'll make it so it happens in the text. Okay, so I've cut my 12 strips of book paper and scalloped them and inked the scalloped edge. I'm going to ink the other edge, but first I have to just figure out how big I want it to be. So what I'm doing here is, let's see if I can get in a little bit here. Too far in. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I have this piece of paper lined up the way I want it on these three sides. And then I'm just kind of checking to see where I want this piece to go. So of course it would have been nice if I had this paper all the way over here and then I wouldn't have to measure each piece. I could just line them up so that it was even, but that's not the way, that would have been the way someone who plans things would do, but I'm not doing such a great job on the planning front today. So speaking of which, my ATG gun is empty, so what I'm going to do is, because I'm planning to do some stitching right here, so I'm going to be careful to put my adhesive on this edge of the paper where I don't plan to do my stitching. So yeah, I just really need enough to keep it stuck. I don't need it. I don't need it super, super, super sticky, because I can always, well, because I'm going to be sewing it down, so it's not going to go anywhere, right? So, alright, so there we go. So that's where I want it to be, is right there. And so once I have it sized up, now once I have one of these done, I can do the rest of them based on this one, so that will make it a lot easier. The first one is going to be definitely the hardest, so I'm just going to ink along that edge there, and that's a torn edge, so it's a little bit trickier for inking. So there's no, oh, I might have been off camera for most of that, sorry. Yeah, so there's no adhesive at all here, so that'll be safe for running through my sewing machine. So I'm just going to get all 12 pieces all to this far, and then I'll do all the sewing at once. My 12 pieces of paper are now sewed, and the edges are distressed, and then I've also stuck on this strip of book paper, scalloped on one side, book paper that is actually not adhered to the whole thing because I'm going to sew on this, so I didn't want to sew over glue to gunk up my sewing machine. And I just wanted to point out that when you're making these, I'm going to come out a little bit, when you're making these pages, if you decide to do scallops on every page like I do or something like this, you just want to make sure that you do half of them with the paper going one way and half of them with the paper going upside down, so that you can then have them be like this. Because when it's in the bound book, it's going to look like this. So that's the way I want it to be. I don't want them to be like that in the book, because that's not the look I'm going for. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're kind of doing your scallops and inking the edges, to make sure that you do half of them upside down so that you can then flip them around like that. So now I'm ready to sew, and I think I'm going to use red thread just to kind of bring a little bit more red into every page. So, okay, so this is turning into a very labor-intensive mini album, but I think it's going to be worth it. It's going to look really, really great. I have all of my pages with stitching around the edges. And then I've also stitched a zigzag stitch in red along the book paper. And so all of my pages, I think, look really, really great. These are all the right-facing pages, and these are all the left-facing pages. And so now I'm ready to start adhering these pages onto my book, which I've already inked the red edges of and added some more score marks so that it can be a nice fat book. And I've pre-sewn this around this kind of cover thing. And now I guess my last thing that I need to do is I need to figure out what I'm going to do about this hole. And what I thought I would do is just poke a hole. I guess I need to figure out what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it. So let me just mark where it goes. I think it will be easy enough to thread this string through another hole. It's just a matter of getting it in the right spot, right? So okay. And now, what size hole do I want? That's the question. Definitely not that big. Nope, not that big. Maybe I want one this big. Well, also, am I going to use one of these reinforcers? Can I find one that will match and look kind of cool? So as you can tell, I'm just doing this right off the top of my head, and that might not necessarily be a great thing, but that's just the way I'm doing this. That's the way I do all my minis. So let's just hope I don't wreck up this by poking this hole. Actually, I'm going to poke a smaller hole just to be absolutely sure. So I've got this teeny weeny hole puncher right here. Oh no, no. I'm going to go ahead and punch this hole, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. I'll live with it. There. Okay. Here's the moment of truth. Ooh, it worked. Woohoo! Okay, perfect. Now, if I could, I'm going to put one of these around it, and I think that's going to look awesome. So, yeah, okay, perfect. All right, so this is my cover, and I need the polka dot page that faces this way. So that's what I want to adhere right here. Oh, I love that. That's gonna look so pretty. I love it. Okay. Oh, gotta pause this. Okay, so I have covered all of the pages with pattern paper. I decided to do, for the most part, the same patterns on each side of the page, just so it wasn't quite so busy. There are these two which are different. I specifically didn't put them at the back because I didn't want it to look like I ran out of the same kind of paper. I did this on purpose. Right, and so that goes there. It's the last page, and then this is the front right there. So what I'm gonna try to do, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be successful, is I'm gonna try to poke this thing through. This little reinforcer thing is actually not attached to the thing, it kind of floats, so I'm trying to kind of pry it. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to pry it through so it'll kind of float over top of the pattern paper that I have. So I got it. I just poked a little needle under there and just used it to kind of pull the little reinforcer through. So I really like that look because it looks like it came that way. I like that. I like that a lot. So that's what it looks like. I just pulled that little reinforcer through the hole. And now I love it. So there we go. This is the look that we've got so far, and of course when this is all filled you're not going to see that much of the brown showing on the side, but you will see some of it. I'm going to just put this needle away. So that is the front of my mini. It doesn't, now I have to go and choose some pictures, because what I like to do is I like to make my minis around my pictures. I just find it really hard to just kind of decorate randomly without knowing what photos go on it. Okay, so I've decided to cover these little flaps, the outside flaps, in this paper. This is just kind of like a really plain red paper. It has a very, very subtle pattern underneath. It's kind of like an orangey red. It's very kind of aged looking. And it is from it's crepe paper, and it's from the Something Blue portrait collection. So anyways, I'm going to use this because if I use a pattern paper, I don't want anything that's going to clash too much or compete with what's been put on the main parts of the paper. And I think this just kind of coordinates nicely with the red that's in the papers, but it doesn't, it's not going to be hugely distracting. And then what I think I'll do on the underneath side is just leave it plain, and maybe I'll distress it a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do next.